PantheonAI presents EU energy shock, U.S.-China trade truce, and Fed signals. Welcome to the PAI Morning Briefing. I'm John, and with me is Sarah. Today is July 28th, 2025, and we've got a packed show for you.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're ready to dive in, John, because the markets are definitely giving us a lot to talk about today. Where are we starting?
Let's kick off with the major indexes. The S&P 500 is hovering right around 6393, down just a fraction of a percent. The Dow Jones is in a similar boat, sitting at about 44,904, also down just slightly.
So, a little bit of a cautious start to the day across the board. The Nasdaq is also down a tiny bit, trading at 21,166. And the Russell 2000 is seeing a slightly bigger dip, down about 0.5% to 2256.
Right, and that cautious mood extends to crypto. Bitcoin is trading around 118,380, but it's down almost 0.9%.
And Ethereum's taken an even bigger hit, actually. It's down over 1.5%, sitting at about 3,800. It really feels like investors are in a wait-and-see mode everywhere you look.
Exactly. But let's zoom out from the numbers and get into the big stories stirring the pot. It feels like we're constantly navigating this mix of global trade news and major sector shifts.
For sure. And a huge one over the weekend was in energy. The European Union agreed to a massive purchase of U.S. liquefied natural gas. Unsurprisingly, LNG stocks just jumped on the news.
That's a great point, Sarah, because this is so much more than just a trade deal, isn't it? It feels like a pivotal moment for transatlantic energy relations. It helps stabilize Europe's supply and really cements the U.S. as a key global energy player.
It really does. And speaking of global relations, another hot topic is the shifting trade negotiations between the U.S. and China. There's this growing buzz that we might see an extension of the current truce, especially with that August 12th deadline looming.
And investors are watching that like a hawk. It's not just about tariffs anymore. This could signal a major realignment of global supply chains and capital flows. It's almost like watching a high-stakes chess match where every single move sends ripples across the board.
That's the perfect analogy. And speaking of moves behind the scenes, the U.S. Treasury is making a pretty interesting one. They're auctioning $69 billion in two-year notes later today.
And the timing is what's really key here, right? It's happening just before the Federal Open Market Committee's rate decision on Wednesday. It's a clear signal the administration is trying to manage liquidity and investor expectations.
Exactly. It's a delicate dance. On a lighter note, even the corporate world is giving us some drama. Nike's stock has been climbing, and a lot of it is thanks to an analyst who cheekily recommended investors to just buy it ahead of the World Cup.
I love that. It's a great reminder that sometimes a clever bit of branding and market timing can be just as powerful as a stellar earnings report. It shows how much sentiment can drive performance.
Absolutely. So let's break this down a bit more. Why are all these separate stories resonating so much right now? With the energy deal, for instance, it's tapping into this bigger global theme of energy independence and security.
Right. It's a strategic pivot. And on the trade front, that cautious optimism around China comes from the simple fact that the two economies are so deeply intertwined. Nobody wants to see that relationship completely fall apart.
It's like that high-stakes poker game we mentioned, where every nation is trying not to show its hand too soon. And the Treasury's auction, well, that plays right into the anxiety around the Fed's next move. Everyone's trying to read the tea leaves on interest rates.
It's this fascinating blend of old-school government bond strategy and modern monetary policy challenges. It all paints a picture of a global economy that's juggling all these realignments at once.
And technology is the thread running through all of it, isn't it? Tech companies are watching the trade talks because of supply chains, but at the same time, they're providing the very infrastructure that makes all of this possible.
Totally. It's why even with a small dip in the Nasdaq today, the long-term outlook for tech still feels pretty solid. And you see that tech influence in the energy sector, too. The efficiency we have now in LNG extraction and distribution is a world away from where it was a decade ago.
It's incredible. It's like every cubic meter of gas is being tracked and optimized with this insane level of precision. And that brings us back to the global picture. A move like the EU buying U.S. gas doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It ripples across borders and affects energy prices everywhere.
It's a domino effect. A decision made in Brussels or Washington is felt in Beijing and beyond. It really feels like To be a successful investor today, you also have to be a mini geopolitical analyst.
You really do. You know, it's funny. Chasing market trends can feel like trying to predict the weather in a storm. One minute it's sunny, the next you're scrambling.
Ha! That's so true. But savvy investors know that a few passing clouds don't mean you cancel the whole picnic. Patience and perspective are key. The market, like life, is full of twists, so you might as well enjoy the ride.
Well said. So as we wrap up, let's quickly recap the big takeaways. First, the major indexes are showing slight dips, which feels more like a recalibration than a panic.
Second, the energy sector is buzzing thanks to that huge EU-US gas deal. It's a big move toward energy security.
Third, we've got our eyes on the US-China trade talks and that upcoming Treasury auction, which could set the tone for trade and monetary policy.
And finally, let's not forget Nike, reminding us that brand strength and clever marketing can really move the needle. It's clear that all these sectors have their own fascinating stories unfolding.
It's an intricate puzzle, but piecing it together is what makes it so exciting. So a question for our listeners. What do you think is the next big tipping point? Is it a trade development, an energy shift, or something else entirely?
Great question. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And of course, a huge thank you to our information copilot, PantheonAI, for helping us navigate this complex landscape. That's all the time we have for today.
Thanks for tuning into the PAI Morning Briefing. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Have a great day, everyone.
Stay curious and happy investing.
PantheonAI, your information copilot.
Because learning shouldn't feel like a full-time job. Take care and see you next time.